right, welcome back for the second episode in our series on the development of the HH52. As always, I'm here with James Hakes, our naval architect.
Hello.
And my name is Seth. So we are, we had a great first chat just about developing the boat. It kind of happened almost by accident. And we developed the aft swing helm version and we were pretty happy with that. But what initiated this entire concept originally was trying to put a forward cockpit on our HH50.
And credit to Chris for that one. He pushed hard for a forward cockpit 50, and yeah, the first two 52s are going to be forward cockpit boats.
Yeah. So Chris Bailet is our commissioning expert, salesperson, and captain. He's been captain of many high performance yachts, gunboats, HHs, including Flash, which is a forward cockpit boat.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of advantages to a forward cockpit boat. And I think Paul, you and I, we're all pretty happy to try to keep it simple. Like the more versions we make, the more of an engineering and design challenge it is. And
sure.
It gives us a lot more work. But we are always really trying to truly build the best cruising boats you can buy.
Yeah.
And why don't you, if you don't mind, why don't you quickly talk through what are the advantages of a forward cockpit?
Well, the main one being it's probably the easiest setup for single-handed control of a catamaran. So all your lines, your steering, your electronics, it's all centralized on the boat. So you've got your pit right there with your winches, your halyards, and everything can be done by one person in one place.
Right.
And it's pretty protected as well. You're in the middle of the boat. You're not high up and exposed, or you're not out on the rail. And actually the helm is on the interior of the yacht in the salon. So you still have full control of the boat, even if the weather's terrible. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It is funny, on a catamaran, it's not like a monohull. A monohull is a very obvious place for helms to be, kind of on the high side aft, so you can see your sail trim and see your telltales, from the high side on either boat. But catamarans don't really heel. So forward cockpit was a pretty innovative idea. I think Chris White was a person that really innovated that.
Yeah.
And a lot of boats, especially performance cats, have adopted that.
Yeah.
And the other advantage we talked a little about in the last video, if you don't have raised biminis, you can lower your gooseneck and your boom. You've got more sail area. Your center of effort's lower.
And your performance cat looks better because it's all sleek.
It is sleek looking.
Yeah. And there's no perfect helm position, no natural helm position really that applies to all catamarans. And so there's so many different options out there, and we're happy to consider all of them,
Yeah.
And we do what we think works best for the boat.
And I'm with you. I would actually say that there is no better place for a helm on a performance cruising cat than the forward cockpit, but there is one main negative, which is you give up a lot of space in the salon.
Salon space, yeah.
And that's what this next series of images was. These were the early drawings of us taking a look at, this forward cockpit, and how do you then develop the furniture flow throughout the salon with that space gone. And it's pretty interesting to look back at what some of the ideas were that we were throwing around. But I think we landed on a pretty good layout.
Yeah, and probably some of the key features on our forward cockpit are like you've got two doors, which is quite important because then you've always got access on the weather side of the forward cockpit. So
and why is that important?
Well, the leeward side's generally getting covered in spray.
Right.
You're going fast.
And they're angled, right? You've done that for a special reason as well, because if you open that door 40 degrees, there's still no way for water directly to come into.
Exactly.
Because the door's open outward. Yeah, so the windward doors, that is unique, because we did play around with some ideas and versions on one door, because that does give you more of an opportunity to have furniture. Yeah, and a lot of boats do that. Some of our competitors do that. But we felt, again, if you're going to do the forward cockpit to do it right, you really do truly need two doors. So you can keep that windward high side door open or cracked. And then that's nice for airflow, because at anchor you can have both doors open and you have all that airflow that comes through.
And we even looked at seating options and lounging options in a forward cockpit.
We did.
But I think in the end we decided this is a sailing space, it's a control space. And
I think we decided that we could make it bigger and fit that. Which is what everyone else does, but then you're taking even more space in your salon. So we tried to really find the best compromise, because it's always a compromise with design, and we had the space is more than big enough to do all that sailing. And you could still pull a chair up there or one of our stools up there. But really, another advantage we haven't talked about is just how easy it is to get up to the front of the boat in the trampoline area. And normally at anchor you'd have a sunshade up if you're in the hot climates in the Caribbean or in the South Pacific. And so to be able to walk up and have that space access more easily, it's so, if you think about it, it's so much easier than going back, climbing up out of the cockpit, walking around the while you're sailing an exposed edge, it's quite dangerous, to the forward area. It's just so easy now. Now all this living space becomes more accessible.
And then for steering from the center of the boat inside your salon is not natural for a lot of people.
Right.
So we actually offer an option on the HH52. You can get the boat with chairs and tillers.
There was quite a bit of there were quite a bit of decisions that went into should they be tillers and chairs.
Right.
Well, I mean, these are some fun images to look at because we kind of looked at everything with cutaways to the coach roof and stairs.
Yeah.
How do you? Is it a chair? Is it a standing post? And we looked at you had to consider everything from sight lines, over the coach roof of the sail area.
Yeah.
How much solar you give up.
Yeah, and headroom as you go up the steps.
Right.
How much is it impacting on the aft cabin, the windows?
Right.
How do you walk around this chair? Because it's a 52-foot boat, so they're not the widest side decks. You're constrained on space. It's a challenge.
And I think you did a good job here because this was going to be a huge trade-off to have this feature, to have these stairs cut up. You're losing sofa space. You've got a bit of an ugly safety bar because you can't fall off this back space. You have to cut away the coach roof so you don't hit your head. You lose solar area. And it works, but it wasn't ideal. So then we started looking at, this is kind of fun actually, we started looking at chairs. Where should the chair be? Could it be lower, but then what are the negatives of that? You don't quite see the sail area. You have to now look through the glass of the boat instead of over the coach roof.
And if you're doing it for the sailing experience, we want to give you the sailing experience. We still don't want you to feel like you're down in the aft cockpit.
Well, and that was the next iteration, right? So we had the chairs inside, what I would call on the deck, much like my last boat was, and that's definitely a thrill of sailing. And this is kind of how we did Flash.
Yeah.
So Flash, the seat is on the deck of the boat, but explain. There were a little bit of challenges with walking around that space.
Yeah, I mean, you can see in the image right there. How do you get up to the foredeck from the aft deck? It's a squeeze.
Right. So what did we do?
We actually ended up. Part of the development of the boat is we've pushed the aft cabin forward slightly and enlarged the steps up to the side deck to make it easier. And then the seat itself actually hangs out the side of the boat. And there are other boats that do this.
Right.
But it really gives you that thrill of sailing right on the rail with the wind.
A lot of thrill. There's going to be no more fun catamaran to sail on.
Not a better place to sail a catamaran from, for sure. And then we're obviously concerned about, well, now it's hanging out the side of the boat. You don't want to catch it on a mooring pile. And,
if you tie up to a wall or something.
Yeah. So we actually have designed the seat so that it will fold in when you're not using it.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. And then obviously we had to redesign our steering system to accommodate this. Which was another technical challenge, while not keeping the steering system simple and lightweight feeling, not too much complexity and weight. But yeah, I think we've nailed it.
Yeah. And then all the controls, because now you're, one of the main, reasons that, this is obviously fun to steer with tillers, but you're now removed from all of your lines up forward.
Yeah. And so one of the things that we insisted on from the beginning with this is if we're going to put a tiller and chair back here on quite a powerful boat, we need push button control of the sails. And so we've done that on the 52, and I think we'll get into the details of that in another video.
Yeah, we're going into much more detail in our main sheet. We call it our main sheet release system. But really everything. I mean, because the Traveler on this boat is already up on top of the Bimini, we already had a line driver that was going to be controlling that. So the Traveler is push button already. Right. But now this feature will allow the main sheet, release and sheeting in to be push button as well.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And then we have an emergency dump system that we'll talk about.
Your little chart plotter there, so it's
right with all of your instrumentation and wind and speed angle, all of your information.
You can control the yacht. Yeah.
So it'd be pretty. It is a lot like Flash in some of our HH66s, but on an HH52.
It's gonna be cool.
It will be. So as I said in the last video, the aft swing helm version is kind of my dream boat, but I don't know. This could be
very tempting.
and really truly, potentially kind of a cult favorite catamaran. There's a couple of catamarans in the past that have been designed and really sort of set the tone and become cult collective boats that people love to buy. And this has got a lot of things going for it.
It's exciting.
Yeah, Cool. All right, so in the next video, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the technology behind the boat, the main sheet release system, and a bunch of other things, including our eco drive and the solar. So stay tuned for that video. If you want some more information on this boat, just email us at sales@hhcatamarans.com. I'm sure we'll have some links down below in the details. Please subscribe for more. See you then. Thanks.